What's the most disrespectful thing that's happened to you in the service industry?
I hope you all are ready. This is my villain origin story. I am not joking. At my last restaurant job, I had worked at the restaurant for the entirety of its existence. I had worked my way up from server to floor manager, and I had been like every position in between. During lockdown, it was announced that we were closing temporarily for 2 weeks. And then we had a family fund that you could, like, I donated $1 out of every paycheck to go towards the family fund, which was an emergency fund for employees to apply to if, like, they came upon hard times. So, of course, all of us during the temporary lockdown applied to the family fund because we didn't have any money. And then they announced that my restaurant and 6 others in the small chain were actually closing permanently, and that we couldn't access the funds in the family fund because we were no longer employees. I was supposed to close on a house the next week, and my dad had to co-sign so I wouldn't lose the house because I was no longer employed. One of my coworkers who was 9 months pregnant lost her maternity leave. Another employee lost his house, and 2 employees are no longer alive that worked there. The restaurant reopened this year, and they didn't offer any of us our jobs back. Like, they actually sent us all an email that was like, hey, just so you know, we're reopening, but we're not giving you your job back. The restaurant is run by a billionaire whose brother is also a billionaire who was recently the host of SNL and owns a car company. Don't eat there.
What's the most disrespectful thing that's happened to you in the service industry?
So I work at a bar in New York, and on a weekend night, I was bartending, and this customer comes up to me, and she asks for a vodka soda. I go ahead and make the vodka soda, get it to her. Maybe 30 seconds later, she comes back, and she says, "Excuse me, this isn't vodka." Okay, I'm in such a rush. I make a new one, and I get it to her. And I kind of taste test the original drink. It was definitely vodka, whatever, moving on with my night. Then a few minutes after that, I hear a kind of a loud commotion, kind of at the corner of my eye. I look over, and it's this customer who had the vodka soda. She's yelling at this guy. So I go from behind the bar, and I get in between him and her. And I'm like, hey, did something happen? And she's not looking at me. She's looking through me at him. And she's like, fuck you, fuck you. And I say to her, hey, what happened? And she is now yelling at the top of her lungs. She's saying, you are a white man. I turn to him. He is a white man. I turn back to her. She is a white woman. And I turn back to him, and I'm like, hey, did something happen? And he's like, I literally have no idea what happened. She came up to me, and now she's just yelling at me. So I turn back to her like, hey, what's going on? Like, do you want to chat outside? And she's totally ignoring me. She's focused on this guy, yelling at him. I'm totally confused about what's going on. I turn back to him. I'm like, okay, what happened? And he's like, I literally have no idea what happened. So I motion to one of the bartenders to grab a bouncer. Bartender goes to grab one of the bouncers. And as soon as that happens, I feel just like that. And I'm like, did that just happen? Did someone just punch me? And I turn back to her and I say, did you just punch me? And by now there's a crowd, right? This woman is yelling at this guy. There's a whole scene. And she just punched me in the face. And she says, no, I didn't punch you. And I'm looking around and all the other customers are like, yeah, she just punched you. And by this point, the bouncer's here, and I'm just like, I don't know what happened. I just need this person out. She gets kicked out without an issue. I turn back to the guy again, like, did something happen? And he's like, I literally have no idea. She walked up to me and she started yelling. Fine. Fast forward 1 week later, also a weekend night. I'm bartending, it's busy. And I look at the very corner of the bar, and I was like, oh, that person looks kind of familiar. That person looks like the person who punched me. So I walk up to get a closer look, and I'm like, okay, absolutely, that's the same lady. So I say, excuse me, you just punched me in the face a week ago. You definitely can't be in here. She's like, no, wasn't me. And then she walks out.
What's the most disrespectful thing that's happened to you in the service industry?
I worked in really popular nightclubs in Hollywood around 2010. I waited on a ton of famous people. This one takes the cake. I walked over to his table and he said, "Hey, my table's a mess. Can you clean it up?" I said, "Sure." Wiped down the table, made sure everything was clean, walked away. And then I hear this. Anyone who works in the service industry is triggered by that noise. I calm myself, walk over there. He says the table's still messy. Sure enough, something had spilled again, wiped it up, walked away from the table. He says, "The table is still messy. Are you bad at your job?" And I lean over to look at the table and it is bone dry. And while I'm leaned over the table, he pours cranberry juice on the back of my head. I snap. I grab the bottle. I jump up. I wedge his head between the wall and the bottle, and I inform him that he will not be making actions like that again if he wants to have a singing career. I almost got fired, and I'm much calmer now.
What's the most disrespectful thing that's happened to you in the service industry? I'll go.
So I worked at Dairy Queen for 2 years, and if it wasn't bad enough that I had to go home every single day smelling like some moldy booty cheek ass ice cream and stale chicken strips and fries, that wasn't even the worst part. The worst part is having to deal with the customers. One day I was working front counter. This guy comes up to the counter and I ask him what he wants. He says, "I'll take a number 3. I was like, okay. I reach under the table, grab his drink that comes with the number 3 and sets it on the table. Looks up at me and says, "What the fuck is that?" I was like, "Bitch, it's your drink cup." He said, "I didn't ask for that shit." I said, "Well, you got the number 3, right? That comes with a drink cup." And he says, "How old are you?" At the time, I was like, 17. And he says to me, "Well, you need to talk less and listen more." Oh, lordy, lordy. Then I want to backhand a little bit. I was like, okay, well, I could just not give you your drink cup. Then he mumbles to himself, "I don't know what's wrong with you people in this town. You need to go back where you came from." Bitch! First off, I was born here. What do you mean go back to where you came from? You want me to go to the damn hospital I was born at?
What's the most disrespectful thing that's happened to you in the service industry? I'll go.
When this pandemic started, I was working security. Tell me why I was at Walmart trying to enforce the mask mandate. This one customer was like, "I don't want monkeys blocking my entrance." About 15 minutes later, he comes out with a thing of bananas and throws them at me. Like, "Here, I know you're going to get hungry soon." I was very furious, but the funny thing was, one customer, he was very upset that he seen that, and he kicked that fool's ass in the parking lot. He asked me to call the police, and I was like, ooh, ah, ah. And then he got in his car and drove away.
What's the most disrespectful thing that's happened to you in the service industry?
I remodel bathrooms for a living, and I've done so for the last 30 years. So this guy hires us to do a custom bathroom. We come in, 2 weeks later, we're done. So we have to end up taking all of our tools out to the trailer at the end of the job, and we're cleaning up the bathroom, getting everything done. He's kind of anxious and hurrying us along, and I thought maybe he had to be at an appointment or something, but he wanted to make sure we had all of our tools, got everything. And so finally, and we got the bathroom clean. And I told him, I said, "Okay, now I'm going to go out and get the contract. You need to sign it again and get me my final check." So I turn around and I go out to the truck, come back to the front door. The front door is locked. I knock on the door. He says, "Yes, can I help you?" And I'm like, "It's me. I got the contract. I need my final check." He says, no, thank you. Have a good day." And so I proceeded to knock on the door. I thought maybe he was joking or something. He says, if I don't leave his property, he's going to call the police. And I was like, well, okay, call the police. So police come. Police tell me there is nothing that they can do for me, that this is a civil matter. They would try one thing to, kind of threaten him a little bit, that what they could do, and see if he'll write a check. He knew the law. He laughed at him, and that was basically it. I was out the $4,000 that he was left to pay me, and it made it a real hardship that week, because I owed my workers their paychecks, which I did give them, but I didn't get paid anything, and I actually lost money out of my savings. The fun part is we did sue him in court, and we won, and the judge was so mad that he did that to me that the judge actually rung him up with all kinds of charges. Time missed from work to come to court, service fees. God, the list was just enormous. By the time he was done, he owed me $12,000. We put a lien up on his house, and he eventually had to pay it. But that took almost a year until I could get that last bit of pay. Sometimes being a small business owner really hurts.
What's the most disrespectful thing that's happened to you in the service industry? I'll go first.
Excuse me, our server hasn't been with us. We've been here for about 30 minutes. Oh my God, 30 minutes? Let me go check on that for you. Hey, Valentina, who has 32? That's a dead section. I didn't seat that table. Perfect, so they sat themselves. I'll just take it. I don't want to give that to anybody. The host actually just told me that you guys sat yourselves, but it's no worries. It's a dead section, but I'll take you guys. We're slow anyway. Yeah, we've been waiting for 30 minutes. We don't care if it's a dead section. It was slow anyway, and the host wasn't at the table, so we just thought we'd sit ourselves. Yeah, no problem. Well, my name's Carson. Can I get you guys started off with something to drink? We actually know our whole order. Oh, perfect. I love guys like you. Makes my job so much easier. What can I get you guys? Yeah, I'm gonna get the cilantro chicken with mashed potatoes. And then I'm gonna do a water, no ice, with 3 lemons. Okay, and for you, sir? And he'll have the ribeye medium. Actually, can you do medium plus? And what size did you want, babe? Broccoli. Yeah, broccoli for him. And to drink for you, sir? He'll have a Samuel Adams and also a water. Cool, I'll go get that in for you guys. Did you guys want some bread as well? Does it look like I need bread? I'm gonna take that as a no, but I'm gonna go grab your drinks. Alrighty, here's your waters, and here's your Samuel Adams, sir. If you're gonna flirt with my husband right in my face, do me a favor and get your manager as well. Actually, I see your food ready in the window. I'm actually gonna go grab it. All right, and a cilantro chicken along with a ribeye for you. Can I get you guys anything? No, but it's funny you didn't bring any bread out. I know this bitch is not dead ass right now. I am so sorry. Let me actually go grab some for you. It's fine. We already have our food. How is everything, guys? Good? His steak isn't medium plus. We want to see a manager. Cool. Can I take that back and go ahead and get you a new one, and I'll bring a manager right by? No, we just want to see a manager. I'll go grab her for you. Hey, I got the bitchiest bitch at 32. She's thinking I'm flirting with her husband, by the way. She also ordered a ribeye medium plus for her husband. What do you want to do about this? I'll go to the table. Tell him to put on a new ribeye on the grill. Already done. It's already ready in the window if you want to take it.
What's the most disrespectful thing that's happened to you in the service industry?
I used to be a cook at this restaurant known as Zeller's Restaurant, and one day we had a deaf customer come into the store and start asking people for money. Now, my boss didn't like this very much, so he came up to me and he said, "Hey, we have a deaf customer in the store. He's asking people for money. Don't like it. Can you ask him to leave?" And I was like, of course I can, because immediately I knew this was a scammer. Anyways, so I went up to him and I said, "Hey, are you deaf?" And he was like, I was like, "Oh, do you know sign?" He was like, And I was like, "I don't think so. That's not real sign language, silly." Anyway, so I said, "Okay, you need to leave." So he started to leave and I said, "Oh, I have $10 for you." And he turned around. You gotta be dumb. You gotta be dumb.
What's the most disrespectful thing that's happened to you in the service industry?
So back when I was a server, I worked at this one really, really nice Italian restaurant. And during the day, we would have specials where things are cheaper. You can get like a buy one, take one home pasta and or like a meal where it comes with like whatever. Anyways, this couple comes in and like, this is for all the girls out there who are always like, "Oh, a waitress is looking at my man." Like, no, it's like, dude, don't be disrespectful. Literally, waiters and waitresses are being paid to be nice. They want you to feel good and enjoy your experience. And so when I'm smiling and I'm being super nice and I'm asking you what you want and giving you recommendations is because that's my job, not because I'm trying to hit on you. Anyways, this girl and her boyfriend order salads to start. So her boyfriend orders a salad and he adds like 3 things onto it. And adding 3 things onto it makes it like $7 extra or whatever. And so I point out, hey, on the menu, we actually have this salad exactly as you want it, and it's significantly cheaper because you're not adding anything to it. Would you like to order that instead? And the girl looks at me and she's like, my boyfriend just told you what he wanted to fucking order, bitch. Ooh, he looked at her like he did not want to be there. He looked at her like, you are like literally disgusting me. And then he looked at me like, I am so fucking sorry. He didn't say sorry. He just looked at me pleading, like, please read my mind that I'm so sorry. And I just looked at her and I was like, okay, so I'll be right back with that. Thank you.
What's the most disrespectful thing that's happened to you in the service industry?
So back in 2008, I used to be a bartender, right? And this place was at an upscale restaurant, so you had a lot of like upscale people coming through.